Today we're going to actually go back to square one and review Tonglen, but we're going to actually do it in 2 Sundays because today we're just going to be working with the first type of this kind of breath healing, this kind of superior healing. Uh, when the chips are really down and you're really suffering, this is the practice that I go to anyway. I did this morning. I had a great day yesterday. Had a view of this whole thing. You remember the weather if you're in Louisville? It was a beautiful day. I was sitting outside, talked to my friend Nick there. Uh, he's heading off to India in a couple of days on an adventure. So checked in with him. Good to see you here today, Nick. And even the Notre Dame's basketball team actually won a game. So I mean, it was really good. We had a good meal. We ate Mexican food. It was a great day. But then, and I went to sleep. I was really happy and thankful for the whole day. And then I spent the night twisting in the sheets with like a series of anxiety-filled, couldn't find my way. I was in Rome. I was at Notre Dame, and I was at the monastery, and I was lost in all those places. Yeah, in the monastery, I was in the monastery kitchen, and they were boiling some huge thing, and I said, "What are you boiling?" And they said, "Manatee." I mean, who can figure this shit out? The sense of it was, I was waking up, and I was like twisted in these sheets. So anxiety was there. And, I got up in the morning, try to get ready. And I was the anxiety was, it was carried over into the day. And so I sort of changed my normal getting up and getting dressed and making coffee and whatever, and just went right to the practice that we're going to lead into today. And so I was practicing what I was going to be preaching, and happy to say it worked. It lifted the thing, and so I could get on with things. This is part of the problem with what we're trying to do here. You guys have been around for a little bit. I used this 10-word kind of mantric phrase to introduce us to contemplation, to silent meditation. I say, be still and trust the love that moves the stars. Well, what is that love? What are we trusting? Okay, we're going to go into that. Now, in the last song, called The End on Abbey Road. It's actually not the end song, but it is close to the end. Paul, I'm sure it was Paul. Most of Abbey Road was Paul. He's a brilliant lyricist, and he says, in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. Now, it's sort of like, that's sort of brilliant in a way, but he's describing transactional love. The love you take is equal to the love you make. There's a transaction, and it's all equal, What I'm talking about when I'm saying, be still and trust the love that moves the stars, I'm talking about a much bigger force than that, something much bigger than transactional love. You could say with that one, the love you receive from that, you'll never be able to equal it. So that's something that moves the stars. That's really what we're trying to harness in this. He was true. If you're talking about a transaction, it's equal. You get $5, you get $5 worth of beans or whatever. That's so the love you take is equal to the love you make. That's only on a transactional level. We're talking about transformation here. We're talking about much. So when I'm telling you to be still and trust the love that moves the star, I'm talking about an energy that's beyond anything that we can even imagine, let alone deserve, let alone equal to in our lifetime. But we're trying to tap into that today. So a couple of poems, and then we're going to actually, if I can remember these things, we're going to keep the tape rolling because I'm going to do a guided meditation for us today, and we'll include that on on the YouTube thing, so whoever's listening out of the blue can actually have a guided meditation. And we're focusing just on the first part of Tonglen, and actually the hardest part to get for some reason is how to do it for yourself. How to use this Tibetan practice, brilliant practice, to when you're anxious, when you're totally afraid, when you're in the panic mode. I want to dedicate today to Elizabeth and Jared. They're loading up a U-Haul. I'm going to drive it up here. She's moving up to Louisville, and when I touched in with her before, because I knew she wasn't going to be coming here, she was panicked. You know, she had been to the place, the U-Haul, where they were getting the U-Haul, and they filled out all the paperwork, and they didn't have the truck. And so then she went to the next U-Haul place. She's going all over Atlanta, and then so filled out all the paperwork, got everything ready, and then neither of the trucks started. So she went, so that's what I called her, and then she was in full panic mode. And I said, all right, breathe here. She says, all right. I said, just, you know, so I gave her the, you know, the second rung on the ladder. We're going to go through 4 rungs of learning how to breathe ourselves whole and into a much better place. And she went to the 3rd place, and they were real nice to her, and she got the truck home, and so they'll be loading away. Yeah, but still, dedicate the merit of today, at least I am, for these 2 guys, because they'll be driving this truck here tomorrow and then have to unload and something. So she calmed down a little bit. I said, gee, too bad you're not going to be here today and then move it tomorrow. But anyway, here we are. So let's start with a little passage here, because we've got to sort of come with grips with this underlying love that we're talking about, that is our ace in the hole. You're not going to try to figure your way out of anxiety. You know, it's like washing bloody hands with blood. You cannot figure your way out of anxiety or fear or panic or, you know, great pain or loss. The mind is not, you know, the rational mind is not helpful for that. It's helpful for a lot of other things, but not that. So let's look to get some help with this. Let's look to see what's going on a deeper level. And you might not be surprised, but I'm going to just do a little bit from Merton's New Seeds of Contemplation, because the guy, he knew about healing. Anyway, so let this sink in. This is sort of, I just titled it, are you preparing for love? Tomorrow, when it shows up in your email box, it'll have this little simpler question, just preparing for love, question mark. Are you preparing to allow this great love to help you out? If you're not prepared, you can't get in. It's not gonna, can't bust down your door, you know. So here's Merton, just a few words from, if you have New Seeds of Contemplation, this is on page 14. He says, every moment of every event of every person's life plants something in their soul. Every moment of every event of every person's life plants something in their soul. For just as the wind carries thousands of winged seeds to each moment, so each moment beings with it, beings with, each moment brings with it germs of spiritual reality, spiritual vitality. For just as the wind carries thousands of winged seeds, so each moment brings with it germs of spiritual vitality that come to rest imperceptibly in the minds and wills of human beings. Most of these unnumbered seeds perish and are lost. That should be highlighted. You know, we're showered with these winged seeds of grace, help, love. Most of these unnumbered seeds perish and are lost because we're not prepared to receive them. For such seeds as these cannot spring up anywhere except in the good soil of freedom, spontaneity, and love. Most of these unnumbered seeds perish and are lost because we are not prepared to receive them. For such seeds as these cannot spring up anywhere except in the good soil, freedom, spontaneity, and love. Yeah, it's one of the great paragraphs in that particular book, New Seeds of Contemplation. If you're looking for a place to start with Merton, and beware, because once you get a taste of Merton, you get bitten by the Merton bug. It doesn't end. You'll be reading it for a long time, but that's good because there's plenty of it. I haven't even exhausted what I have in my library, or I'm still reading the New Seeds of Contemplation the third time around, kind of thing. But it's worth it. Okay, so most of this help that's coming from this love that moves the stars, showering us with these seeds, showering us with grace, showering us with love in a condensed form. And for most of us, we're not prepared to receive it. So this is about preparing for love. Okay. And now we go to Vincent here. That was the sower. He did several pictures of the sower. Vincent trained to be a minister like his dad, and actually he failed because he was too Christian. He was too much like Christ, and the people rejected him because they didn't know what to do with that much love. And so, he ended up finding what he was meant to do. His ministry was really in paint on canvas, you see, just the same way. Well, not the same way, but in a similar way. Mr. Rogers was an ordained minister, and he decided not to go into a church. He'd be on TV, and his ministry would be with the kids. Thank goodness for that. Yeah, because he really found it. So he's painting the sower, several versions of the sower, and so he's talking about this richness that's possible. He's referring to the parable where Jesus was, he wasn't a liar, but Jesus was always hyperbolic. He was saying, because back in those days, if you dry broadcast a seed, if you got a 7-to-1 comeback for it, if you got 7, if it was multiplied by 7 times, that was a good year. And he said, well, with this kind of seed, if it hits good soil, you could get 60, you could get 120 fold. He's trying to say this is a different kind of seed here. But guys are saying, how is that possible? This guy's out of his mind or whatever, but he's talking about different kind of seed here. He's talking about different kind of love, that is sowed. So this is a short poem. The shorter, the better for me. This is only 20 words long, but it really gives you what we're talking about. I just called it Good Soil. And you can actually tweet this because it's few enough characters. Go ahead, tweet it if you're tweeting. It goes like this. Spirit is the sower. Love is the seed. Soul is the soil. We are the tillers. Breath is the plow. Spirit is the sower. Love is the seed. Soul is the soil. We are the tillers. Breath is the plow. Breath is the plow. Yeah. I mean, the problem with dry broadcasting, sometimes the ground is, packed down, hard packed. The soul is the soil. And so we have to break it up, open it up to air, open it up to the seeds. We're meant to till. We have a part in this process for preparing for love. Sometimes I mean, we have a role here. It's a dance between us. We're going to, go into this in a big way at our next intensive on Saturday the 11th. We're going to go into a huge dance there, but there's a give and take, but it's not the transitional give and take. But we have a role, and our role is to till up the earth, to make it good soil. When that's the whole sum total practice in any tradition. If you're looking at it with this metaphor, is to make yourself receptive to the seeds that are given all the time, raining down on us all the time. But if your soul is like concrete, it's like the paths that people take to go into the post office. They don't go in there, they cut across, and then the grass doesn't grow there after a while because footfall after footfall after footfall. So experience after experience after experience after experience, if it's not really handled and reflected on or whatever, after a while your soul becomes like concrete, and seeds on concrete. Well, one of the helpful things is to realize that whenever I always feel a little hopeful when I see dandelions coming up through blacktop and concrete, because sometimes the seed even does get through. Sometimes you can't stop it. And that's also where I can get hope in a world like this, because the dandelions, they make it through. You see, grass makes it through. Yeah. So that's just in 20 words. It gives you sort of the playing field. The spirit is sowing the seeds. The seeds are love. Your soul is the soil. Okay. But we have a job. We're tillers. Okay. And the breath is the plow. Now, you shift that last line, the breath being the key here, the plow. It's great to be a tiller, but if you have no plow, what are you going to do? And the breath in all traditions is so key. And it's something that is so ubiquitous that we don't even pay attention to it. I mean, 20,000 times a day, you breathe in and out. Now that's transactional breathing. I want you to get this difference between transactional anything and transformational anything. Transactional anything is good because, we breathe in, we breathe out. If you had to think about it 20,000 times a day, you'd go mad. You couldn't be sleeping, and so it's autonomic, it's built in, just like all these other systems, vast network of. So what a human being is amazing. All these systems, and they're on, automatic. And so you don't have to think about that. And that transaction, breathing in good air, letting go of, the carbon dioxide and stuff, that's a great transaction. That's how we stay alive. Try to do without it for about 5 minutes. Unless you're a yogi, you're not going to be doing it. You'll be in trouble. The whole thing breaks down. So that's transactional breathing. I want to talk to you about 4 steps into transformational breathing, how breathing can transform anything. And that's what Tonglen is about. One of the Lojong statements, which is about 50, I think there's 59 statements that are Tibetan practice. And one of them says, in Tonglen, the whole thing rides on the breath. Okay. So I'm going to really just give you just a little bit of background for this, and then we'll segue over to actually do a guided meditation. When we started 3 years ago, I did a series of guided meditations, which just sort of help you learn to practice. And I've added a few things since then in the last 3 years, because last 2 years haven't been easy, as you know. And so the work hasn't ended, even though the pandemic is lessened any number of things to drive you crazy, to freak you out. So the work goes on. Well, so I call this 4 levels of a conscious breathing. Thich Nhat Hanh, of course, is really a master of this. Linda Renz is working with Thich Nhat Hanh, with some of you perhaps, and he's a master of it. So you could actually go for more on this, but he doesn't do Tonglen. The Tonglen is special, but he's a master of the whole sense that breathing can change your life. Conscious breathing. This is conscious breathing. our 20,000 breaths a day are unconscious breathing. Thank goodness we don't have to think about them. They're wired in. Okay, this is intentional breathing rather than autonomic breathing. So first level is just conscious breathing. We're just going to run through each, take a minute or two with each so that we get the feel of the progression, and then we'll do the whole thing as our meditation. We'll work it into our meditation. Now, so we can just do level one. And each of these levels are a little bit more transformative, but level one is transformative itself. So let's experience each of these just really briefly, and then we'll do it. So you can just relax and just shut your eyes where you are. You don't have to move to any kind of place, and just the one thing to do, you don't have to do anything with your breath, just notice it coming in and out. Just notice your breath. Thich Nhat Hanh would say, you could say, breathing in, breathing out, as you do it. You can do that subvocally to yourself. So let's just go on that. And notice, and just notice the breath. You don't have to do anything with it. And, noticing is also feeling. So feel the breath come in. This is experiential, you see. So feel the breath go up. Maybe you're feeling your lungs rise up a little bit as you breathe in. And then sink back down as you breathe out. Just feel the breath, just as it is. I notice as I do this, just the noticing it makes the breath a little deeper. I'm not really doing it. It's just to be experiencing the breath, to be intentionally, consciously breathing, sort of deepens it a little bit if you notice. Maybe it happens for you too. So that's threshold one, and that alone, if you have just just a little bit off kind of thing, you're just a little bit off. You can't even identify it as anxiety. It might just be, but just something catches your attention. You're a little bit off. You could always just do that. Just we took just less than a minute probably, and just if you can, but don't do this while you're driving, at least with the eyes shut part. But you can do it with eyes open. But just notice the breath, just as it is, and feel it coming in and out. Intentional breathing, level one, conscious breathing, level one. Now, level two, if you're a little bit more bugged or you need a little stronger medicine here, then do the circular breath. Circular breath is breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth and doing the same thing. So you just change it a little bit. So let's do that. Breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. You can purse your lips just like you're ready to blow out a candle on the out breath. Just do and notice that. Notice how it feels. That's a deeper level. That's my normal go-to when on the spot in the day when I notice that. I do that a lot when I wake up in the morning as an old person. I wake up and I'm a little disoriented. I might not be anxiety, but a little disoriented when you wake up and a little scattered. And so I'll normally go to level two and just do the circular breath as I, look for my socks and that kind of stuff. So that's the second level. Now the third levels is what the Tibetans would call whole body breathing. And so same thing, you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, but you're actually breathing through every cell in your body as you do this. So every cell has a nose and a mouth while you do this. So just, and now we're bringing in the imaginal realm as well as just the focus of awareness. So we're going to imagine that every cell in the body is breathing in as we breathe in and then breathing out as we breathe out. So let's try that. It's whole body breathing. From the soles of your feet to the ends of your fingertips to the head, hairs on the top of your head. Each cell, and there's billions now that are breathing with us. They're breathing in the good air and breathing out. A couple more of those. We really feel like you're breathing in. Breathing out. Whole body breathing. Actually, that's not just fantasy. If you remember Goldfinger, they painted the woman with gold paint and she died because actually our pores are breathing all the time. And actually cells need oxygen. Otherwise they can't, they start dying off. That's, it's just, it's actually true, but we're extending this kind of circular kind of breathing. And now we're breathing in and out from all the cells, each one, invigorating them a little bit. Just by itself, that's a good thing to do, just to bring yourself back. You want to try to wake up, do whole body breathing. Now, the first one, this is, each one is going with the next one, you see. So the fourth one is the integration of all of it. And this is really the Tonglen breath. And and I'll bring you through each of these, and then we'll bring to this breath. Now, in this breath, we're breathing in again from every cell, but we're breathing, we're changing it. We're breathing all the darkness, all the trouble, all the stress, all the anxiety of every cell in our body. We're breathing it up to the heart. Now, the heart is not the physical heart. It's what the Buddhists would call the bodhicitta, which is the awake heart, the awakened heart, the sacred heart. It's an equivalent in Catholic practice of the sacred heart. And this heart has all the space in the world. This heart has infinite space. When we talk about the operating systems of body and mind and heart, that heart operating system is vast. There's no limit to it, like the universe. So it's vast. And so when you're breathing in all the trouble and all the stress and all the anxiety from each and every cell to the heart, guess what? There's room. There's room. Imagine, I have a poem about, if you put a tablespoon of salt in a 12-ounce glass of drinking water, it's undrinkable. But you put that same tablespoon of salt in Lake Superior, guess what? You can still drink the water. And that's the Buddhist image of the heart. And it's also the image of the sacred heart that came to me through my Catholic teaching. Is there's this vast thing that can take anything. And not only can it take anything, but it can transform it. So you're bringing in all this darkness, all this pain, all this suffering, all this anxiety, even panic, you're bringing it into the heart. And then it transforms it. And then you can put out back to the cells light, love. So it's darkness and pain and suffering in, light and love going back. So you go back to the cells. So it's this exchange with every cell in your body. The Tonglen is called the exchanging. The exchanging. Now, next week we'll talk about doing it with people out there who are suffering, but we should always do this practice first because it invigorates everything. And next week, we'll actually do the practice we're going to practice today in brief form, and then go on to maybe work with others because, there's people, you might be at their bedside. They might be your husband or wife or family. They might be, black guys getting murdered on TV. It doesn't matter. And you can send this out. See, but first you got to start with yourself. That's the basic practice. And most people skip that practice or they don't understand how to do it. So This is like opening yourself up to love. All right, so let's just practice this just for a minute, and then we'll do the whole shebang. We'll spend about 10 or 15 minutes, not as long as we normally do, but we'll spend a short time doing all four of them in sequence. But let's just practice this fourth one. Okay, so now you're breathing in all this pain and distress and tension and whatever from every cell in the in breath, and then picture it going to your heart space. And then on the out breath, sending it back as light. So you're breathing in the darkness. No trouble because the heart can take it. And then on the out breath, you're sending back the light. Normal Tonglen Glen practice, they talk about breathing in the dark, the black, and sending back the white. And really keep the visualization that you're really taking it from every part of your body. And you're feeling it as you do it. And on the out breath, going back to every part of your body. That's the fourth level and the most transformational level. Every level will transform you, but when it's really serious, you're really in crisis, that's the way to learn how to sit and just whole body breathing, breathing in all the darkness to the heart, and then sending back light and joy and love and peace, everything else that these cells need, but they need sunlight, you see. Now, unless you have the sense from whether it's either Christianity or Buddhism, and then other Hinduism has a practice very similar to it, and it works with the heart chakra, that there is this part of our being that can do this transformation. See, okay, but we didn't make this thing. This thing came in. It was part of the makeup that was given to us. So we're not really making anything. We're using something. So think of your Sacred Heart, or think of your bodhicitta as a great tool, the ultimate tool. Say, okay, so that's a little more detail than we had the first time around, but maybe that will help. So let's give it a whirl now. If for some reason you're too freaked out or to even attempt this, or you're afraid to do it, that's all right. You could turn your volume down so you won't even hear the instructions. But if you're game for this, and at some point, this is such a great tool, you want to learn how to use it. I'll lead you into it a little bit, and we'll just probably do 10 minutes, okay? Half our normal time, okay? So stay right where you are. I would put your hands just on your knees, or in your lap, but have the palms open and facing upward towards the sky. That's a preferred position because you're open to everything. You're open to everything rather than clenching. Uncross anything that's crossed. Okay, no arms crossed. That's not a good position for this. Okay. And now we're just going to breathe. But we're going to go through the 4 steps, and we'll do the first 3 rather quickly because we've already practiced them, and we'll spend a little more time on the 4th step, and we'll play with the 4th step a little bit. So just notice your normal breathing. I would say breathing in, breathing out. Know that you're doing it and feel what it feels like just to breathe that way. Breathing in, breathing out. Just be aware of that. Just aware. Nothing special, but awareness. Breathing in, breathing out. And now let's just shift gears and do the breathing in through the nose. And do the breathing out through pursed lips. That's the shift. That's the shift to the circular breath, or sometimes called the sacred breath. Just breathing in through the nose, out through pursed lips. And just feel what that's like. And, you're feeling the whole body. What happens to your body when you breathe in the circular breath? Let's take a minute or two for that. Just relaxing while you do this whole thing. All of it is relaxed. It's all riding on the breath. Now we keep the breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, but we'll add the visualization as we do that. Each cell is breathing in through its mouth, and through its nose and out through its mouth. So just extend it to your whole body. Feel your feet on the floor, maybe feel your fingertips as you sit there. Feel the top of your head as you do this. And now we're breathing in and breathing out of every cell. So let's do this. This is sometimes called cellular breathing or whole body breathing. See your whole body as a kind of glowing apparatus here that has breath going in and out of it. Every cell, billions of cells, no matter where they are in your body. Breathing in, breathing out. Your cells are digging this probably. And now we'll shift to the fourth, which takes all the previous three, but we'll just do it a little bit differently now. Now we're breathing any kind of darkness into the cells. And we're visualizing it coming up to the center of our chest. And then on the out breath, we're sending back light. So you can work with just darkness and light here. Breathing the darkness from every cell, the waste, the tension, the anxiety, the fear. And we're sending back light. We're sending back the essence of love and peace, nutrition. So we continue this. This is doing Tonglen for yourself, for every cell in your body. Not some ideal self now, not some false self, but we're dealing it with the whole here. Breathing in the dark, and sending back the light. Breathing in some disturbance, sending back just what each and every cell needs in your body, just what it needs. The heart knows what's needed. You don't need to know. The ego might be saying, well, what do I send back? Well, the heart knows. Just trust the heart. Continue with that. Easy and slow. No hurry. Breathing in the darkness. Breathing back to light. Now, this is the most fluid of practices here. So, if the colors change, the darkness usually doesn't change. Sometimes it gets to be a dark other color, a dark blue, a dark red. You trust that. And then sometimes the light that you send back, it could be a deep gold, bright pink. But in essence, we're taking some darkness and we're turning some light. So everybody's so individual. I send back a deep golden light and it's warm and it's soothing, where the darkness that I breathe in is sort of cold and edgy. So allow yourself to just find your own way to do this, but it's darkness and then the light. This is called receiving and sending. That's what Tonglen means. It means to receive and send. So you're receiving the darkness and you're sending some form of light. Whatever colors you prefer is okay. But just be black and white. Just let yourself loosen into the practice. How does it feel to be sending this to every cell in your body? Don't forget the hands and the arms and the legs and the toes. Forget every cell. This whole body. Different view of yourself rather than this little thinker up in the head, you know. You can send your ego some of this too, if you like. Okay, now let's just take one more of these breaths and then we're going to let it all go. Just your final one together. And now we just rest for a few minutes. Just be still and trust. The love moves the stars.